For hundreds of years, people from all walks of life have reported sightings of a large hairy animal walking on 2 feet. The scientific community has dismissed these sightings as hoaxes, hallucinations, or misidentified bears. But is there another option? Is it possible that there is an ape, the largest of the great apes, unrecognized and unclassified by modern science, roaming the forest of North America? Please join us as we seek the answer to this compelling question. You have arrived at the intersection of myth and science, of fact and folklore. You have arrived at Bigfoot Crossing.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Bigfoot Crossing. I'm Michael Willey. I've got my good friend Darrell Williams here with us today. Darrell, how are you?
I'm good, Michael. Always good to see you on Mondays.
Yeah, we love Mondays.
And
it's the only reason to like Mondays. Bigfoot Crossing is on.
That's right. And we are enjoying the search and this program with Michael Willey. We've got a great host. We'd love to find a great sponsor.
I appreciate you bringing that up. I am sponsoring the show by myself now through my Kangen water business, Think Before You Drink, and lest I forget, let me remind people to think before you drink. Kangen water is alkaline, it is antioxidant, it is microclustered, it will hydrate you at a cellular level, and it will put your body in a frame to do what God intended it to do, which is heal itself. So go to my website, www.thinkbeforeyoudrink.us, and check out Kangen water. And if you'd like a free sample, give me a call, 615-516-7173.
Michael, I had a little water issue at my house, and I had to cut off my water for a time, and I can't tell you, luckily I had a sample of Kangen water, and it never tasted better, because I had it in the fridge, and it ended up being my backup emergency, plan, and Kangen water was never so good, and, that cold, silky taste was refreshing.
Exactly, and I'm glad we could be there to help you with that, Darrell, and if you'd like to enjoy this silky taste of Kangen water, please give me a call or send me an email. My email address is on the website as well, and we will get you a sample of Kangen water to enjoy, and you can start experiencing the life-changing benefits of Kangen water. But having said that, I do sponsor the show by myself, and but it would be better if I could find someone to help me sponsor the show. So if you know someone who would be interested in sponsoring the show, I've contacted a number of folks, and but let me know. Give me a call. Maybe you own a business and would like to sponsor Bigfoot Crossing. Let me know.
Your business might cater to the outdoor types.
Exactly.
And that would be a tremendous opportunity.
Yes.
And Hudson Alexander and I, we think that one of these days Michael is going to be syndicated because, the topic's so intriguing and Michael puts a lot of work into the show. So some sponsor out there needs to be on the ground floor of this deal.
Get in, and that's exactly right. Get in before it takes off.
Well, I tell you, Bigfoot is a tremendous industry, and Michael is our local connection to this world, and we get a kick out of hearing his insights every Monday on the radio. Michael he works hard behind the scenes during the week, and he's bringing some guests together. We're going to have some, and we're making some connections just through the program. We've had calls, and we find out that this person, knew that person, or this story lived in this person lived in that part of the country, and it's kind of all coming together.
Exactly. It really is. I never dreamed when I started this show that I would be talking to someone who knew Roger Patterson. And Larry Merritt, who called in last week and was called in and was talking to us for a while, he grew up in Yakima, was born and raised in Yakima, Washington. That's where Roger Patterson was from. Larry's dad and Roger were very good friends. Roger was over at the house often. And so Larry Merritt is going to come on the show next week. He's going to come down to the studio. He's bringing some Roger Patterson artifacts, I guess I should say, with him.
And Roger is kind of responsible for I'll use the term, almost the Ark of the Covenant artifact in the Bigfoot folklore.
The Patterson-Gimlin film, that's exactly right. And I was talking with Larry yesterday, and he said Roger always carried with him a 16-millimeter film camera. It didn't have sound, and he had that with him when he was at Bluff Creek on horseback. And the horse reared, and Roger, of course, was a rodeo rider, and could ride a horse, but this horse threw him off, and which gives you an idea of how strong the horse's reaction was to having come, in close quarters with a Bigfoot, and Roger got the camera out of the saddlebag, and filmed history, and Larry got to see that film in his living room probably, before anybody else ever did, and when he was 10 years old. And so he has memories of that. He's got, when the film hit the news wires, Argosy magazine was the first to print the stories about the film, and he's got a copy of that. He's got reel-to-reel tapes, at least one, of Roger conducting interviews with people who had seen Bigfoot and were reporting to him what they'd seen. So it's going to be a fascinating interview. He's a great guy, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Sort of segues into what we're going to be talking about today, Michael, because you said today you're going to talk about the behavior that's been observed when folks have these sightings.
Yeah, it's fascinating, really, how Bigfoot acts and reacts. And what a Bigfoot does when it sees people. The typical reaction when people see Bigfoot is they go in the opposite direction. There's a lot of sightings that have taken place where people just look up and they see a Bigfoot.
Or smell
it. They give off a very musky odor. And that's a defensive mechanism. If they feel threatened, that much like a skunk gives off a musky odor when it feels. We're very familiar with how skunks smell here at the station. As a result,
you better believe it.
As a result of one getting.
We
under
may
the
have
building.
a Bigfoot under our building.
Maybe so.
That may be where he's hiding all these years.
I find it ironic that there is a picture of a skunk in the restroom here.
Yes, it's been here for years, and
so the skunk predated the odor, I guess is what we're saying. But the Bigfoot will give off a musky odor. One man compared it to something that's been dead combined with the worst outhouse you've ever smelled. And I've never had the opportunities to experience that odor, but people have said it will just bring tears to your eyes. It is just so strong, and of course when you smell something that strong and that overpowering, that puts in place that fight or flight reaction.
Yeah.
In human beings, and our main reaction is to take flight, to get away from it. So we have the odor, we have other behaviors. Bigfoot has been. I think Bigfoot finds human beings as interesting as we find Bigfoot interesting, because a lot of sightings are just people who are out working. Maybe at a farm in a rural area or something, or hiking, and they look up and there is a Bigfoot just sitting there watching them. And when the Bigfoot realizes they've been spotted, it generally just gets up and moseys away. So you have very benign behavior like that. Some of the spookier stuff, in addition to the odor, is something that Joe Bilyeu talked about a couple of weeks ago. Joe Bilyeu, of course, is the scout leader up in Springfield who takes his Boy Scouts out bigfooting, and he talked about they were on a hiking trail. They were hiking through the woods, and something was paralleling them in the woods. They would start hiking, and 10, 12 feet into the tree line, the Bigfoot would walk with them, and they would stop, it would stop. So that's kind of a spooky thing that Bigfoot does. Bigfoot will throw rocks, just little pebbles. And I've experienced that. We were out Bigfooting. Oh, I thought that was... Yeah. Please silence all cell phones, please.
Sorry about that.
I'm going to have to hold up a sign. Silence all cell phones. No, I actually thought it was mine going off. While I'm saying that, let me silence my cell phone. And, where was I? The rock throwing. We were bigfooting, and we're at a hiking shelter, built along hiking trails for folks to camp out overnight. And it was raining, and there were, it was raining pretty good. We're all sitting there under the shelter, and all of a sudden, a couple of rocks hit the tin roof of the shelter. We weren't under any nut-bearing trees or anything, so it wasn't anything like that. And so I've always thought that was a Bigfoot saying, "Hey, I'd like to get in out of the rain, so y'all leave."
Wow.
And they will clack rocks together. I've experienced that as well. They will do tree knocks. So if you're out in the woods and you hear something that sounds like it's knocking on trees, it could be a Bigfoot. They'll vocalize everything from a whistle to a scream. And Joe Billieu described it. He said it just reverberated within him. It just vibrated him. That's how strong and how deep the scream is. And you might think that's overdoing it, but it's really not. Apes and monkeys have a vocalization range far beyond that of human beings, and that's why when you read descriptions of Bigfoot, they always talk about not only how big they are, but how thick they are. And they've got that very deep chest, which allows them to have a larger lung capacity and to be able to bellow at a range beyond human capability. And there have been recordings of screams and yells that were clearly beyond human range. So you may hear something like that. Some of the more perhaps frightening stuff. There have been reports of people in camper trailers. And I've got one right here. One of the earliest reports, I'm reading from Dr. John Bindernagel's book here. One of the earliest reports of Sasquatch disturbing a human dwelling is in 1904 from the Sixes River mining area. A wild man, of course, this was 1904 before gorillas were discovered, so Bigfoot was often described as being a wild man. It was assumed he was a human being who'd gone completely wild, grown hair all over his body. Walked around a cabin and took a hold of it and gave it a vigorous shake. It shook the cabin off of its foundation posts. In 1964, a man sleeping in his car in Orleans, California, was awakened near midnight by a shaggy-haired animal shaking the vehicle. 1963, a large cab-over truck stopped his vehicle. And he grabbed the cab and started to shake it. He stopped the truck because it was crossing the road in front of him. And then the Bigfoot comes over and grabs a hold of the truck and starts shaking it. These often happen as an attempt, what am I trying to say? A demonstration of territoriality. You're in my territory. You need to leave. Yeah. Shake, 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 and you get the message, and people leave.
You don't think they're looking for food or?
Well, they could be. That's a good thought.
Like
that's
a bear.
Good thought.
Yeah.
Actually, and we were in Gatlinburg over the Halloween this past Halloween, and there was a family of bears there that ultimately had to be put down because they had become so accustomed to being fed human food that they were becoming a threat to the campers and the visitors.
Yeah.
And this one bear a member of that family of bears, was able to open up a car door and got in the car, started getting into the car. So it can happen, and that maybe that's part of it. Maybe they were looking for food. If you've got some good smelling food in your car and you're out camping and you're sleeping in your car, you might get a visit. Who knows? But they'll also do things like a bluff charge, which is something gorillas will do. And they will, a gorilla will just run at something, howling, screaming, beating its chest, tearing at trees, and the end result of that is to get whatever it's attacking to go away. And right at the very end, it will break. It's a bluff charge. It will break it off, and it will turn around, and it might come back and do it again, till whatever it's coming at and charging at leaves. Bigfoot has been known to do that. James Vincent, who was written up in the Nashville Banner years ago in the 1970s, he experienced that. He said he was duck hunting, I believe, and was in his canoe, but he had beached his canoe, and he said it was just making a terrible ruckus, screaming, tearing at trees, coming running through the woods straight at him. And he got back in his boat or his canoe and got out in the water. It scared him so much. So those sorts of activities are designed to make people take a hike.
Take a hike.
And it works. It works. They will tear at trees. They will they'll twist trees. And most of this stuff, though, is and most of their activities is, it's not violent. I mean, it seems violent when a Bigfoot is twisting a tree, I'm sure, and it's when it's roaring and coming through the woods and scaring the daylights out of somebody. But there's never any harm that comes to the person. And Bigfoot has been described as a gentle giant, and I think that's absolutely correct, but you have to remember that they are wild animals. There was a woman within the past year or two who died and was killed at Yellowstone trying to take a selfie with a buffalo. Now, why in the world would you try to take a selfie with a buffalo?
Ooh,
I mean, they even have signs out there.
Right.
Don't get too close, because buffalo are very unpredictable. But all wild animals really are unpredictable. The most recent tragedy down at a zoo, the zookeeper who was called the Tiger Whisperer entered into a part of the tiger exhibit that was not seen by the public, but it had the tiger was in there, and it attacked her and killed her.
A trained person that worked with this animal,
and undoubtedly knew this person and recognized it. So all wild animals are by nature unpredictable. I remember we went to Shark Valley, Florida, which is sort of an odd name. It's a great place to go see alligators. I mean, you can't swing. You can't go 10 feet without seeing an alligator. And there was this family with their little boy trying to get him to move closer to the alligator so they could get a picture. What are you trying to do?
Really?
So be careful when you're out in the woods, not only about Bigfoot, but about all wild animals. I've heard of deer charging people and trying to gore them with their antlers. So it's just something that we have to be aware of. But these are all behaviors that are engaged in by Bigfoot. Some of them are kind of spooky. I think it would be downright scary to be in a camper trailer and all of a sudden you're shaking like it's in an earthquake or something, or in your car, sleeping in your car, and that happens. it would be
Yeah.
scary, but I'd love for that to happen. I'd love to have that,
You
that
would
kind
live
of
for
encounter.
that, yeah.
We went Bigfooting a couple weeks ago, and we didn't have any luck. But we're going to get out in the woods and do it again. We have a lot of fun, and it's just great to get out in the woods. But we didn't have any vocalizations or anything this time, and so we're gonna go out again. There we go. There he is, right there. So if you're out in the woods, or if you're out in your backyard, if you live in a rural area and you hear a roar, or you hear a sound that doesn't sound like coyotes, or it doesn't sound like any other sort of farm animal, then maybe you're hearing something, and try to get a recording of it. I'd love to hear it, and call the show. Call us and let us know. We'd love to hear that.
And Michael is here every Monday in the search for Bigfoot here at Bigfoot Crossing. And not today, but some future shows. He's going to bring in some guests that he mentioned at the top of the program. And Michael, what else this afternoon before you leave us?
Well, I just want to talk about future shows. We do have, like I said, next week, Larry Merritt will be coming on the show. Talked with him yesterday and lined that up. Really, really nice man. The show will be the next Monday's show, and possibly the show after that, depending on how much we can cover. We'll focus on the Roger Patterson film. That film has never been debunked. We're going to talk about folks who have tried to debunk the film, and folks who have said, well, that was just a made-up suit. All of these, it's amazing the hoaxes that surround Bigfoot, which I understand is why a lot of scientific people won't take it seriously. But there's something out there, and so we're going to talk about the Roger Patterson film. We're going to talk with Larry Merritt. I'm looking forward to that. In a couple of weeks, we'll have Dr. Jeff Meldrum, who is an anthropologist and who is with Idaho State University, has an enormous collection of Bigfoot track prints, or track casts rather, and we'll have several other guests coming on, and looking forward to that.
Michael, if you could just say, had the freedom to just kind of devote full time to this, and you didn't have your other life and all your other responsibilities, which I know you do, but what would be your destination, your dream search destination for Bigfoot? Where would you like to go and really, look for Bigfoot?
Bluff Creek, California.
Bluff Creek, California.
Bluff Creek,
is that
California.
The epicenter?
That is, Bluff Creek is, the epicenter really is probably a little town called Willow Creek, California. There have been more sightings around Willow Creek, I think, than any other town in California. And it's sort of the Bigfoot capital of the world. They have a Bigfoot festival there over the Labor Day weekend. And I'd love to go there. And Bluff Creek is just north of Willow Creek. Bluff Creek is actually where Jerry Crew found the cast prints in 1958 that sort of started the whole Bigfoot craze. And close by there, on a sandbar in Bluff Creek, is where Roger Patterson filmed his film. So that's my dream. That's my bucket list goal, is to get to Bluff Creek at some point.
You've not been there.
Not been there. I can't say I've never been west of the Mississippi, but I've never been to California.
Yeah.
So that's my goal. I'm going to go to Northern California. Steve. I always think of that line from the Steve Miller song. Northern California, where the girls are warm, and go to Bluff Creek, and I'd love to come away with a sighting, or at least a couple of track casts.
Yeah.
That would be fabulous.
Well, follow Bigfoot and the Search right here every Monday on WAKM. And don't get thirsty on the trail. Be sure you have some Kangen water. And if you want to learn more about Kangen water, well, Michael is a good source for that, too.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Go to www.thinkbeforeyoudrink.us. One of the great benefits of Kangen water is that it doesn't weigh you down. You drink a lot of tap water, and you just kind of slosh around. Kangen water is microclustered, and so it's absorbed into your body right away. So if you're out on the trail and you drink a bunch of Kangen water, and then for whatever reason you need to run, whether it's Bigfoot or a bear, just start running. There's that old joke about the two lawyers who were out camping, and a bear starts coming towards them, and one guy starts to run, and the other guy stops and puts on starts to put on his running shoes. And the guy says, well, you can't outrun that bear. And the guy says, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. So go to there we go. Go to www.thinkbeforeyouDrink.us for all the information you need about Kangen water. My cell phone number is on there. My email address is on there. You can also go to www.tnbigfoot.com. That's my Tennessee Bigfoot website. And then the website for Bigfoot Crossing is bigfootcrossing.net. So there's a lot of great information out there on those websites, and I hope you'll avail yourselves of it.
Well, happy hunting, Michael.
Darrell, thank you so very much. Appreciate it.
We'll see everybody on the next show.
We hope you have enjoyed your visit with us here at Bigfoot Crossing. The internet home for Bigfoot Crossing can be found at www.bigfootcrossing.net. Michael Willey's website, Bigfoot in Tennessee, can be found at www.tnbigfoot.net. Please follow us on Facebook at Bigfoot Tennessee. You can also follow Michael Willey on Twitter. His handle is at Michael B. Willey. Each episode of Bigfoot Crossing is posted to the Bigfoot Crossing YouTube channel. Please subscribe so you can be notified when new episodes are posted. Your feedback is always welcome. Please email questions and comments to tnsasquatch@gmail.com. Be sure to let us know which episode you have a question or comment about. Thanks for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time right here at Bigfoot Crossing.